Cheers.
Cheers.
They don't know about the kumbaya meetings we had this week.
Stay high. Good luck. 3.
You just put yourself on the map. They didn't look into your heart. They didn't look into your heart. They didn't look into my heart.
All I want to do is compete.
Because they came to whose house? But doggone it, ain't it good to be winners again in the
Welcome back to Cute Yourself Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Stacy.
And today, babe, what are we drinking?
Today we are drinking Oops All Berries from Ellicottville Brewing Company. Just a sour beer mixed with some fruits, and
It's pretty tasty.
today was an exciting day, so we didn't stop to get more beers. But
did
so
not.
we had this one in our inventory.
Yeah, that was in the beer drawer inventory.
But it is good.
It is. It's very tasty. So, all day today, we've been putting out teasers on Snapchat and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. And I took some pictures and I blurred them out and put some stuff over so you couldn't see who it was.
We had some good guesses.
We had some great guesses.
Ron Overton actually came back with the correct guess.
Yep. Congratulations, Ron. Good guess. Good job. But, babe, who'd we bring in today?
We had the amazing experience of having Katie Kolinski here on Cue Yourself. She is home for a few days before she starts, more of her intensive getting back to Lafayette and getting back into the basketball world. Mm-hmm. She had a few days, and so we reached out to her, and while she was home, she was able to make some time for us, and she came over, and we are about to show you the interview that we did with Katie.
Yeah. So,
Here it is.
roll it.
Oh my gosh, guys. Look who it is. Secret shopper. I have Katie Kolinski with me, the grad assistant coach from Syracuse, who from Syracuse went to UB and is now with the Lafayette Leopards women's basketball team. Hey, Katie.
I'm excited to be here
Yay!
today for sure.
Fantastic. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you're as excited as I am, but sure. So, tell us a story about the day we met.
So, I was eating at Applebee's. It was after we had just played in the NIT. I don't really want to talk about the NIT year, but Tyler Roberson was with me. We were eating, after the season, just talking, and you and Chris kind of came up to us, and I was more shocked that normally, like, when I go out with the guys, like Tyler or anyone, like, I'm the one taking photos. And,
right.
Like, you guys were excited to see me, and I'm like, but I'm just, like, the low totem pole on Syracuse,
well,
but...
Full disclosure, Chris came into the kitchen and was like, Tyler Roberson's at the table, and I was super excited, and I peeked around the kitchen, and I saw Tyler, but next to Tyler... I said, babe, that's Katie Kolinski. Like, what? Like, yeah, Tyler, but that's Katie. Like, and he was like, oh my gosh, you have to go talk to them.
Yeah, that was like the first time really someone was that excited to see me. I wasn't ready for it, Tyler, I thought, Tyler's great, and like I said, normally I'm the one to take the photos of the guys from fans come up to him, but you guys saw me, and that was the first time that really happened and everything, so I always appreciated that.
You didn't know how much your life was going to change after that day, did you?
I appreciate you guys' like fandom when it comes to Syracuse, because I grew up a huge fan. Everyone knows that. I grew up being like from here, and knowing how much you guys love the guys, and it means a lot to me, because there's a lot of negativity in Syracuse for the guys too, so you guys don't have any of that. Is pretty
in the back of my brain. I know that it seems like there's a lot of negativity, but I feel like the negative just speaks louder than the positive. So I want to feel like there's like 5% negative. They're just louder than the 95% positive.
Yeah, no. It's a little bit negative, but, overall it's pretty positive. Like, the fans, even, like, the TBT, I watched all those games, and seeing the fans come back and support those guys, and I love those guys so much, and, I watched, and, being at Lafayette, I watched from there on TV, but I felt like a fan again watching some of those players. Like, Hakeem Warwick was my favorite growing up, so being able to watch him, always warms my heart. And
Texas Teabag.
Yes, exactly. So, but yeah. Just the fans in Syracuse, like even everyone who has supported me and still support me, I've been thankful. It's been a pretty cool experience. So
fantastic. Is there any player that stands out more than another? I mean, like obviously you were the first women's grad assistant coach that Boeheim hired. And so being a hometown girl and growing up here in Syracuse and then being able to work really close with the players, is there any one player that stands out more than another?
Yeah, I think a lot of those guys are family to me still today. Like Andrew White's, Tyler Roberson's. I was very close with Tyler when he was at Syracuse. And, I have to throw out that he did average a double-double on the way to the Final Four.
Indeed.
And I think that's forgotten about a little bit.
He got us there.
He did. It was a team effort, but, he did average a double-double. So me and Robe are pretty close. I call him Robe. But just as overall, I went to practice the other day before, I think it might have been yesterday before they left for Italy. And, even talking to someone like Marek, and he came in to Syracuse and he didn't talk a lick of English. I did not understand him.
Didn't he learn English from
watching TV?
Yeah, what was it? Two
and a Half Men.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so he didn't even speak English when he first got to Syracuse. So then, yesterday he sat down next to me, and obviously he's not practicing. Everyone knows that because of his finger. And just talking to him, we talked probably for 20 minutes, and just to see his, improvements. And in the beginning of the year, I didn't know how funny he was until he learned how to speak English. And he's probably one of the funny, he had me laughing a couple of days ago. And it's just good to be able to catch up to, guys like that and just see how well they're improving. And, Syracuse is, we're a family, but we really care about their improvement on and off the court. So just to see them, excelling and seeing all the guys leave and excelling, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's just kind of cool to, see them, keep every year. They're just getting better, so.
Fantastic. So you were a guard mostly in high school at West Jenny.
Yeah.
And then, so when you come to Syracuse as an assistant coach, you work more with the forwards and the centers. Now you're with Lafayette, and again, you're working more with the guards.
Yeah.
So have you found it that it's a little bit easier to use your past experiences to kind of help coach the girls with that position?
Well, I think, for me, I wanted to just overall learn every position. So Hop was the original one to kind of take me under his wing, and he taught me all the big stuff. So
We love Hop.
Yeah, I know. Everyone knows, Hop's my guy.
Yeah.
I love Hop to death. So he taught me all the big stuff and took me under his wing, and he was, the first person to be like, Katie, you're going to be a great coach one day. And taught me all that stuff. Then my last year as a grad assistant, I talked to Jerry and I was like, gee, I really want to learn your guard stuff. I want to get very familiar with your workouts while you do it. I want to watch film. So GMAC let me kind of watch film with him. A couple weeks ago, I walked in there and watched film, and he was just teaching me some different stuff. So I'm just forever grateful because then, Red and his forward stuff, he always let me come in and watch film with him. He always taught me everything. And then even Griff, my last year, he kind of taught me what he knew. So I feel like everything I learned, I just kind of put it together. And then you learn as a coach. You take what you like, you take what you don't like, and you make your own stuff out of it. So I feel very confident about it now. Jerry really did help me. I will be working with the point guards at Lafayette, and GMAC helped me a lot with that in my last year. And a lot of the summers, I was working with the team because they're all up there. So even though, I worked primarily with Hop, I did all the workouts. I didn't care who it was. After practice, before practice, I was always in the gym. So I think, their confidence in me kind of helped me a lot, for this next step.
What does, freshman year in high school, Katie Kolinski think about, where, oh my gosh, I don't know, as a fan, as a lover of the universe, just hearing you talk about, I'm just having a conversation with GMAC, I'm just having a conversation with Red, I don't, what does she think? Holy moly. Wow.
I will have to be honest with you, if you had told me, in middle school when I was going and watching Jerry play in the tournament and when they won the Big East that year, I think it was 2006. And if you had told me back then I'd be sitting on the Syracuse men's basketball bench, I would have told you you're crazy.
Right.
If you had asked me my junior year of high school, I would have said you were crazy because I didn't really have a plan. I knew I wanted to get into coaching. I knew I probably wasn't going to play after I tore my ACL. So, I kind of everything aligned. I wanted to be going to phys ed maybe. Syracuse happened to have a phys ed program, and I just applied and I got in. And I was very adamant. I hit up the head manager. I said, hey, I really want to work with the team. I don't care if I have to do stats, wipe the floors, whatever it is. I love the game and I love the team, And he said, normally, a lot of women work with the women's team, but if you're that adamant to work with us, text me when you get on campus. And that was my first text. When I got on campus, I was like, hey, I really want this,
For sure.
And then we had there was 20 people trying out for 5 manager spots. And it was a month tryout. And it was just awesome though. Everything, that's where I really do believe in God and, his plan is always going to be bigger and everything just happens the way it's supposed to happen.
Right,
so it was a dream come true.
And,
I can't explain it.
Right. Jimmy even said, I didn't hire her because of a woman. I hired her because of her work ethic, and she just happens to be a woman.
Yeah.
He just respects the way you do.
Yeah, and I can't say enough good things about Coach Boeheim. Syracuse basketball wouldn't be Syracuse basketball without Jim Boeheim.
Yeah.
And he took me under his wing too. He said, Katie, if you need anything, he was big in me getting the Buffalo job, and then he was really big in me getting the Lafayette job. Mm-hmm. And if it wasn't for Coach Boeheim, I don't know if I would be here where I am at today. And he just gave me a chance. Like, that's all I needed was a chance and opportunity, and Coach Boeheim did that. And Julie too, like, their whole family. I love their family. Julie has always made sure I'm okay. Like, if I ever have to text her, when I was interviewing, like, she texted me, like, Coach just got off the phone. Like, we can't wait. Like, it's just who they are. Yeah. And I think, even with his foundation and everything else, like, Coach Boeheim is a gem of Syracuse. And I'm forever thankful for him. Like, I think he's awesome.
I always go back to his quote, and I think it was him and his first wife and Patino and his wife when they were in Jamaica or someplace, and someone was like, "Where's your dream city?" And everyone's like, Honolulu or whatever, and he's like, Syracuse. Yeah, like I just said that to Chris this morning. I'm like, why wouldn't you want to live in Syracuse? Like, hey. I don't know, whatever. Like, I don't know. This place just brings me so much love. On a more kind of emotional note, recently we heard that Chris Lavelle is signing on as a walk-on for the men's basketball team for this upcoming season, who is Kelly Siebert's son. How much of an emotional impact do you think that kind of had on Coach and his staff? And clearly now she has one more reason to just shine down on our university. Yeah. And have you had a chance to talk with him at all?
Yeah, so everyone, like, Kelly to me was like a second mom. Yeah. Every day I came in the office, she always made sure I was okay. And she always had really good advice. And for me, the last time I really got to sit down with Kelly was at Bai's wedding. We were at Bai's wedding, and a lot of people, we had a recruit up that weekend, and a lot of people had to leave. And, so it was just like me and her and her husband, and we were sitting talking at the table, and we were just talking about life and everything. And that was like really the last time before everything kind of happened. And when I saw that they were having him as a walk-on, that, like, it warmed my whole heart. I think it's so well-deserving. If you would have heard the way Kelly talked about her sons, and anytime I came to the office, like, oh, he's got a basketball game or this or that, and it was always just so positive, and, like, her kids were everything to her. Yeah. And, I graduated with her son Mike, so I knew Mike for a little bit, and the fact that he's a walk-on, I saw him at practice the other day. He was watching, and he just seemed so excited about it. He had his mom's shirt on, and she's just one of those people I'll never forget. Even, like, thinking about her, it's hard to even talk about her, because she was one of those people that forever impacts everyone around them. And it was really hard, when she did pass away. But I think, with having... There's
been a lot of positive around that.
The lounge under her name, and, Jim and Julie, and Jim loved Kelly more than anybody, and... Well,
she was his right-hand man. Like, he doesn't make it through the day without her.
Yeah, and Kelly just, like, she looked out for me no matter what, like, even when I was nervous, if I wasn't going to get the grad assistantship, if I was going to get it, she kept me calm. She's like, Katie, it's yours, don't worry. And it's just, like, she always just said, like, certain things, too, like, if you're ever going to date a man, like, if he's not going to cross... if he's not gonna cross over like a marsh for you to bring you lemonade, like, he's not, or a swamp, if he's not gonna, like, cross over a swamp for you to bring you lemonade, like, he's not worth it. And, like, little stuff like that, like, she was just so smart, and like, she was beautiful inside and out, and
she was a mother to everybody.
Yeah, mother, like, she just made sure everyone was okay, the players, the kids of the coaches, made sure the coaches were good. If I had a bad day and I walked in that office and I saw her face, it was like, you can't have a bad day. Kelly,
in our silly little fan base, like, we rally around the walk-ons. I remember, like, Brandon Bayer gets on, and, like, the whole place goes crazy. The first time Chris takes the court, that dome is gonna be insane.
I know.
And I'm excited for that moment.
I know, it's crazy. Like, I'm so happy, though. And that just shows, like, who, Syracuse basketball is. And, she'll forever be remembered there. There'll never be a day. Like, I think about her all the time. And I know she was a big part in where I'm at now. So I miss her like crazy. But I'm just so happy for Chris and that he gets to be with the team. And I know that's a dream come true for him. So it's pretty cool.
Awesome. And then, obviously, in the grand scheme of things, like, you had a pretty short career here at Syracuse. You were a grad assistant coach for 2 years, but the amount of time that you were here, clearly you made a positive impact on players, on the coaches, on the university, on us as fans, and that travels with you. Every accolade that gets posted on social media about you, there are numerous comments and compliments, from Chris McCullough, from Devo, from everybody, that they support you, and that how much does that kind of fuel your fire to just keep going and keep striving?
Yeah, well, the reason, I believe you should get into coaching is you want to help them, like we see them as like these big superstars, whatever, but they're humans, you know, they go through emotions, we talked about like Tyler Roberson and just the emotional part of, basketball, and that's just what we're here for. Like, I just want to make sure, I want them to go pro. I want them to reach their dreams or whatever their dream job is. Like, I want to be able to help them get to there. And I know the coaching staff at Syracuse feels the same way about that. And, just seeing, like, I don't think they realize sometimes their impact on people. Like, the day Chris tweeted at me, like, Katie's one of my favorite people. Yeah. Like, I wasn't expecting that. Right? Like, that came out of nowhere. Like,
he's still making a paycheck from basketball.
And, like, I haven't even talked to Chris maybe in, like, a year, and for him to tweet that, like, just little stuff like that, it goes a long way.
For such a short time.
I know, like a year, but he was my guy. We hung out, and we were in the gym together, and it really means a lot. I don't think they realize that. And, my friendships with the guys and, like, they're brothers to me, and they're really family to me. So it's just so appreciative. And, just seeing the fan support and everyone else, at the end of the day, I never thought it would get this big. I just love the game of basketball, and I really just wanted to help people.
Well, I know when I see a message come in from you, I'm like, oh,
no.
Katie Kolinski.
No, I just go by, like, you just be a good person. Yeah. It's not that hard to be a good person and, to treat people the way you want to be treated. And I just try to treat people the way I want to be treated and, try to help everyone along the way. And I believe in good karma and, it'll come back to you in some way or another. So.
And Chris and I have kind of brought that up, too, in a couple of podcasts. Like, we want to bring the humanity back to these people. So many fans think that they watch the television and that these guys are here just to entertain us, when really they're humans. They have souls, they have feelings, they have heart. Like, there's a story behind the 60 minutes that we get to watch them dribble or throw or whatever they're doing. And so it's nice to hear that, like, the coaching staff also has that in mind.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, like, even people like Rakeem Christmas, like, I went to a game in Cleveland when he was on the Pacers, and he left me tickets no problem. And, they're so willing to help. Andrew White left a ticket for one of my friends at the TBT.
Great dude.
Like, it's just little stuff like that. And it just got so much bigger than I ever thought it could have been. Mm-hmm. I never imagined it to be the way it was. And I even being there, like, you take it for granted a little bit, because I don't even realize, like, that they're, like, these high-scale athletes, because they're just so nice. They're good people.
At first you had to, though, right? Were you kind of starstruck?
Yeah, when I first walked in the door, I was like, oh, my God, like, that's Coach Boeheim. Like, oh, my God, that's Mookie Jones. Like, oh, my God.
How many, like, meetings did it take before you were comfortable just talking to Boeheim?
It probably took me like 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was pretty nervous at first, but then you realize he's just a human too. And, like, before I got there, I was a huge fan of Deion Waiters, even his freshman year. And, even being in the gym with Deion Waiters, I was like, oh my God, like, that's Deion. Like, I love Deion. I was always a fan of Deion, and, Fab Mello, RIP Fab, but, he was just so much fun at practice, and, in the, like, layup lines, and his energy, and just being around those guys, it was really, it was I can't even explain how awesome.
I love the picture of you and Pascal.
I know. I love Pascal. He's such a good person too, and he really cared, and I think he was a big part of us going to Sweet 16 that year with his defense, like his defensive stats that year.
He can hit free throws at the end of the game like nobody's business.
He sealed some games. So that like, my last year as a grad assistant, the year we went to the Sweet 16, and we didn't know if we were getting the tournament, and then we had to play in Dayton, and then it was such a whirlwind. Like, you're in Dayton, and then you're flying overnight. Next thing you know, you're in Detroit, and it was so surreal, and then you're playing Michigan State, and no one thinks we have a shot in heck to win that game, and we beat Michigan State, the team that's supposed to win the national championship, and we're down the wire with Duke, and we're down 3 at the end, and I think we should have won that game, and it was just fun. Like, I can't explain it. Like, my last game with Syracuse, we played against Coach K and Duke, and I'm on the opposite sideline. I just, being the kid who loves the game and grew up, like, loving Coach K, Coach Boeheim, the Pat Summits of the world. And
then at UB, you get to play against UConn.
And Gino, and, like, we go down the wire with them. It's a 7-point game at the end. It's just, like...
Yeah, you guys put up a fight.
It was crazy. Like, it was 7 towards the end, and, we started down 15-0. And when you lose by 11 to a UConn team that's gone to the Sweet 16 every year since I was born.
Right, with Brianna, who you've been able to work out with.
Brianna Stewart, yeah. And, like, you look up, and at UConn, they have all the banners, and we're sitting there, like, we're the game for them to go to the Sweet 16, and I look up, and I'm like, oh, like, they have not made the Sweet 16s before I was born. Like, that's just so crazy to me. And I'm so thankful, like, basketball brought us out to Maui, and we won the Maui tournament the year we started 25-0, and it's just brought me places.
I've seen pictures with just you and all the basketball team just
It was
hanging out
fun.
in Hawaii.
Yeah, we were hanging out. It was such a cool experience. And what I love about Coach Boeheim is he's not really a stickler on those trips. He's not like, okay, you guys have to be doing, he's like, no, like, be safe. You know, you got to be in at a certain time.
Be 18.
But go to the beach, have
Yeah.
fun. You know, like, Trevor, don't get sunburned. You know, wear a long sleeve. But that's who Coach is. You know, we got to enjoy it. We got to go to the beach. We got to go snorkeling as a team.
People see him as like press conference Boeheim,
Yeah.
and they forget that he's out actually.
Yeah, he's awesome. You know, Jeremy Grant almost drowned, and he was bringing walk-ons down with him, and it was just so much fun. Like, we're snorkeling with turtles and
Yeah.
CJ Fair, and like I'll never forget it. You know, Bai was out there, and it was such a cool experience. You know, and it's just stuff I'll never forget. And the people that really were there for me, like Coach Boeheim and GMAC Red, all those people, Hop, Griff, like I'll never forget their impact they've had on me, and all the players too. Like the players have impacted me way more than they'll ever know. So I'm forever grateful. Like for me, it's been a pretty cool experience.
Fantastic. All right, so the heartfelt stuff is over. Now I have to bring Chris in, and he's got the super hard X and O questions.
Tag me in.
Tag team, back again.
Oh my god, you guys are hilarious.
All right, so I got a couple quick ones for you. So, right before we met you at Applebee's, you told the story we met at Applebee's. Days before that, maybe a week before that, you played in that CBT tournament where you showed up with some friends and they said, hey, why don't you play? You go out, you drop 29 points, right? Just burying them. And there's no... Like, it wasn't something that was streamed live. We don't get to see it. So it's just all word of mouth. But they had to have just been feeding you. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then you beat Nico Tamurian.
Yeah.
And I challenged Nico. Although Nico put up a heck of a fight, though. I did watch the video of that. You were the first women's grad assistant at Syracuse. You've checked all the boxes here. There might be one more. Can you beat Coach in a three-point shootout?
Well, probably not. Like, coach is like the sneaky person that, you know, you don't... Like, let's say you're going out to the park and you're picking your team to play 5-on-5, and he's like, he doesn't have the look test, so you might be like the last person you pick, and then you realize you let him to start playing, and then you should have been picked him first because he can actually play. So, but I was just telling you the story when, like, it was probably like 5 years ago, and Digger Phelps was at practice, and I was shooting threes before practice, and somehow they were going in, and Digger went up to Coach and was like, hey, you know, I think she could beat, you know, Jerry in a three-point contest. And, you know, Coach gave his, like, little smirk, and he was like, oh, GMAC's still pretty good at shooting. So I don't think Coach thought I would even beat GMAC.
Jerry still got it. It was,
yeah.
I don't know, what was it? 3 or 4 years ago, we went to the pep rally. I think 3 years ago. And he joined in the three-point shootout of the pep rally and had a string at the end to win it. Like, hit 5 or 6 in a row. Jerry still got it.
That was with my boy Doyen.
Yeah,
Doyen, yeah, he's good. Yeah, like, I love all these guys. Like, I
loved
miss
him.
them. You know, it's crazy they move on. And
Doyen,
you know,
last I heard, Doyen was in med school at
oh, he's
NYU.
so smart. He's
Yeah.
so smart. He's so smart.
Yeah,
so.
he was in med school at NYU. He's probably graduated now because that was 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
We stumbled into somebody who knew him. It's amazing. Like, the Cuse family it just spreads.
It's crazy.
The arms spread wide.
It's crazy.
But you don't live here anymore. You're down in Lafayette now.
Yep.
So let's say, hypothetically speaking, you come back to Syracuse. You have an overnight layover at the hotel. You can grab one meal at one place. Where are you going to go eat in Syracuse when you're home?
I'm probably going to pick... you guys probably want me to say Applebee's. Applebee's is good. I
No,
like Applebee's.
I don't want you to say Applebee's. Don't
All right.
anybody should ever know that.
Applebee's is good. But I'm going to say, like, Tully's is always my go-to. I feel like I could work at Tully's because I could say their whole menu probably better than their waitresses and can. And I'm a real big fan of Possibilities. I love their sauce. Their sauce is different than any other. So probably one of those two places.
How many times have you had Tully's since you've been back on this trip?
I haven't had it yet, but I will say this, like, right before I had left a month ago, that was where my parents and I had dinner before I left, and so Tully's is always up
So
there.
you did have it recently.
Oh my God, my friends get mad at me at school because like Christina was on the volleyball team. She's one of my close friends, and she'd be like, "We're not eating at Tully's again." Like Jose was a GA on the women's side, and like he was my roommate, and I always wanted to eat at Tully's. I think they all got sick of it after a while.
The tenders at Tully's are special.
Yeah, they don't get old. Like I can eat them all the time, but
Right.
I get the ziti from there, and that's a little
Okay.
different from what a lot of people get from there. So
Yeah, I don't think I would order that. Just not something I would see it and blow past it because it's Tully's.
Yeah, and they have Cookie Monsters, and they just got this sugar Cookie Monster that is so good. And they have a Tully's in Buffalo. So when I was in Buffalo last year, I ate there all the time. So it was
There you
still
go.
my
So
go-to.
you still get to get your Tully's fixed, and you're not that far.
No,
You're
there's a
not that
Wegmans at Lafayette though.
far. Ooh.
So I'm
So
pretty...
you can get Tully's honey mustard then, because you sell that at Wegmans.
Yep.
Right.
And this I don't know if you guys heard of Intense Milk before.
Yeah.
But they sell it there in Pennsylvania, and that's my go-to milk, the cookie dough. So I'm in heaven out there.
There you go. You got it.
Hey, I'm a water person too, though.
That's
so
right.
we're
We got
good.
water. We got all of them. Evian, Life Water, Smart Water. We got them all. So a few weeks ago, we had the TBT here. Mm-hmm. And in our TBT podcast, we touched on the Elam ending.
Yep.
And I enjoy the Elam ending as a fan based on, I don't always like the fouling and stopping clock at the end of games. It doesn't work as often as you would like it to. And with teams working on foul shooting as much as they are now, it doesn't have the same effect as it might have 20 years ago.
Right.
So as a coach, how do you feel about the Elam ending?
Well, it's hard to say because I'm curious the stats about it. The way I'm looking at it is, let's say you're down 10 at the end of the game, and now they're only 7 points away from their, to win the game. And I'm just curious how much it actually affects the game and how much differentiating and scoring it actually is. I don't know.
This year, round one, Carmen's crew, the Ohio State team that won it, was down 15 at the Elam ending, I believe.
And they came back and won. It's just it's hard to say. I don't know if it's much difference, but I'm like a creature of habit, so I like the time and everything.
And I am a sports traditionalist by nature.
Yeah.
I do like all of the classic rules of sports across the board, from baseball, football, basketball. Right. But this one intrigues me. I do enjoy watching it from a fan's perspective because the game doesn't stop.
Right.
And we've all watched college basketball games. We've all watched Syracuse games where you get down to 2 minutes left. If you're up 10, you pull the air out of the ball. Yeah. That's smart coaching. That's basketball. That's how you do it. But as a fan's perspective, the game is nonstop, whistle to whistle. Right. So it's interesting to hear it from a coaching perspective, and it changes. Also, as a person who loves the X's and O's, I enjoy the strategy behind the potential there.
Yeah.
Like if it were to ever be, I don't think it'll ever leave the TBT to go to college or the NBA.
I don't think so either.
It's great for what it's worth there.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see, professional coaches build their strategies around it.
Yeah.
Because that's interesting for a guy to watch from my
Well, do we have the Virginia game if we had the Elam ending? Because at the end of the day, you don't really have to press because you're pressing because you're going against the time. So you have to get easy, quick buckets. But with the Elam ending, they just can't get 7 more points. So you can go back into your half-court defense and really try to shut them down. And I guess it's a little bit more defensive-minded because you have to get stops. Like, if you don't get stops, then you're not going to win. But then you still might want to press because you're going to speed them up. But then by speeding them up, they might score a little bit more, and that's getting them to their
That's a really
points.
Good point. I think if we don't go into the press, we don't beat Virginia. Our half-court defense wasn't as effective at that point.
Right.
When we went into the press, it changed the game. And you might not have seen it with an Elam ending. So I love that perspective, and I don't know that we would have beat Virginia with the Elam ending.
I don't think we would have.
Because it was that press on that game, and I've said it in a previous podcast, maybe 3 or 4 podcasts ago. Mike and Trevor at the top of that zone, for my money, and I've watched Syracuse basketball for 40 years, were as good defensively as anybody I've ever seen play the top of the zone. They were a unit, and they were amazing. And then with Malachi in the press and those guys, and Tyler back behind them, that press was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Was phenomenal. So, yeah, you're right. I don't know that we win that game with the
it's just something like, it's just a little different to think about because I didn't really think about it like that until it just came in my head in the end of the game, just the way you press and then would you press, but then they're going to get more points, or they might not get more points, but then you might not have to press because you can just sit back in the defense.
Everything.
Yeah, so it's a different perspective.
It does. It changes everything.
For sure.
So I have one last question for you.
All right.
So this is a nationwide debate, and I need you to weigh in on it. And in this household, it's split right in half. I'm on one side, that one's on the other side. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
It's fine sometimes. I don't mind it. Yeah, I don't mind it. It's not like my go-to. I'm a big Doc's Pizza person. That's in Camillus. It's not my go-to, but it's good. I mean,
I can't.
It depends what's with it though. Like,
if I was in Hawaii I would eat pineapple on that
Yeah.
pizza. In Syracuse,
Yeah, it depends on your preference a little bit. So it's not that bad. So
well, the correct preference doesn't put pineapple on pizza. Katie, thank you so much for coming out and taking time out.
No, thank you.
Like, you came in town, you took time out to come talk to us. That's phenomenal. I truly appreciate it. Guys, check out Lafayette basketball. Katie's out there doing her thing. Keep an eye out. That program's going to be on the up and coming. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks. Wait, I gotta throw one more thing out
Do
there.
it.
I got to. So my dad is actually running for county clerk in Onondaga County, and it's gonna be coming up. I think the election's in November.
Okay.
So it's not like one of the main elections where people, you think to go out and vote, but you don't have to vote for my dad, but I would prefer you to vote for my dad just because my dad is such good people. I get a lot of who I am from him, but I think that it's one of those elections. Just go and vote, whoever you end up voting for. But
So
we just need
Onondaga
people out there.
County Clerk.
Yes.
Keep me updated on social media about
will.
it, and we will
Yeah, 'cause
try to
I-
drive people to the voting booths for
Yeah,
that.
I think that's one of those things. We just need people out to vote. I'm not going to tell
gotta
people
vote.
who to vote for.
Vote
but,
how you want to vote.
Vote how you want to vote. Obviously my dad is good people, but
Clearly.
he takes after me. But at the same time, I think just to get people out there when it's not a presidential election is the first and foremost. People don't really, but I don't think people realize how important these elections are when it comes to what's happening in our town.
What's happening locally. Yeah,
Yeah.
the local elections are as important, if not more, than
Exactly.
than
So I think
elections,
that's big for us.
So you heard it, guys. Get out there and vote. We got a local election coming up in November.
Yeah.
Do your due diligence and go out there and vote. Katie, awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Thank you.
Roll it. That was fun, babe.
Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. I cannot thank Katie enough for
Yes.
taking time out of her schedule to come over. It has been a whirlwind since the day at Applebee's that we met her. She's been an amazing, amazing human to us, and so kind and so generous. Whenever we run into her, she's always, willing to come over and give us a hug and say hey. And she appreciates our crazy fandom, and we appreciate her for all she's done for the
Yeah,
university.
and she's just so humble
Oh gosh.
and down to earth. And when
She doesn't realize how freaking cool she is.
she does not. And when we spoke to her about this and said, hey, we'd love to have you come and just talk with us for a little while about the amazing journey that she's
Yeah.
on. So, and she agreed. I was shocked.
We
I was
tried
shocked.
to kind of steer away a little bit from the typical questions that, pardon me, that she's asked, which are all amazing questions with amazing stories and amazing answers behind that. But we wanted to kind of dig a little deeper and have a little fun with it as well. So we certainly appreciate her for letting us do that.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Katie, for coming in. That was phenomenal. We had a great time.
She was sitting in that seat.
Yes,
she
was
looks
sitting in
so
that
much
seat.
better in that seat than he does. Chris seems to think that he can beat Katie in one-on-one. And I'm going to go ahead and say I'm Team Katie.
Katie's got a bum wheel.
She could probably do it on sitting down and still be, but I whatever, let's do this.
Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Onondaga.
I'm going to go with the crazy prediction of you're not going to have very many people on Team Chris for that one. Typically in situations, there's a lot of hashtag Team Chrisers. In this particular one, I'm going
to go under the assumption that I need to win really quickly. Because if not, we got problems.
Yeah.
We got problems. Anything more than like 3, we can play to 2. Katie, we're playing to 2?
the first one to get one basket.
Yeah. And I get ball first.
I'm saying she's blocking you.
Those are the rules.
I'm saying she's jumping through the roof and blocking
Those are the
you.
rules.
Okay, you're still going to lose.
Guys, we had a great time. Thank you for watching this and enjoying this journey with us. Is it my side or your side?
What are you talking about?
Where's the YouTube box? Is it this side?
Oh, yeah. No.
No, it's this side.
It's so backwards.
Yeah. Right there. Click the little YouTube subscribe button right here on this side. Bang, that's much easier.
Right there.
Right there. Subscribe, follow us, comment, everything. Don't forget, guys, on the 24th, we're going to be at IBU Brewery. I have reached out to
A few.
More than a couple.
Yeah, we have some
Former
definite
players,
maybes.
right? Former players from the area who've given me some serious definite maybes.
Yes, and we have been working on questions, and they're good.
Yep. The trivia is almost finished. The questions, we're doing them ourselves. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great time. So, interview went well.
Yeah.
24th, don't miss it.
Yeah.
Super Soaker fight on the 14th against Clemson.
Again, if anybody knows
Don't
how
miss
to
that.
transport water, let me know. Because I don't believe in his plan A.
As always, guys, from Cuse Yourself Podcast, bleed orange and go cuse yourself.
Wedge Ed.
Wedge. Heads.
Bye, guys.
The voice of the fan.